A self-made billionaire real estate mogul's carefully controlled empire crumbles in an instant when he spots his ex-wife at an exclusive garden party with twin daughters he never knew existed, and they have his unmistakable green eyes. But before we dive into this powerful story of redemption and fatherhood, make sure to subscribe to stay updated with more touching family tales. And let us know in the comments where you're watching from today. Martins Wellington stood on the marble terrace of the Rosewood estate, champagne flute balanced in his hand, surveying the charity garden party sprawling below him. Everything stretched out like a kingdom he'd conquered. At 42, he'd built Wellington Properties into one of the most powerful real estate empires on the East Coast. Forbes had just called him the Midas of Manhattan. His luxury developments dotted the skyline from Manhattan to Miami, each one a testament to how far he'd come from his childhood in Newark. The guest list today read like a who's who of New York society. This was his world now. But as he watched couples stroll arm in arm through the rose gardens and families laugh together on the manicured lawns, something felt hollow. Mr. Wellington, his assistant Rachel, appeared at his elbow, tablet in hand. Your 4 o'clock with the zoning commissioner has been moved to Monday. You're clear for the rest of the afternoon. Martins loosened his Italian silk tie slightly and nodded. Another event, another opportunity to network and close deals. This was his life now. High-stakes negotiations, groundbreakings, and board meetings stretching 18 months into the future. He preferred it this way. At least that's what he told himself. Thank you, Rachel. Why don't you take the rest of the day? You've earned it. Rachel had been with him for 5 years, ever since he'd restructured his entire office after the divorce. She was efficient, discreet, and fiercely protective of his time. She probably knew his schedule better than he did. Rachel hesitated, her professional smile flickering. There's just one thing, sir. There's a woman here today. Kimberley Brooks is on the guest list. Martins froze, the champagne suddenly bitter on his tongue. Brooks, a name he hadn't heard in 5 years. Then he saw her, across the lawn, laughing in a red dress that caught the afternoon sun. And she wasn't alone. 2 little girls in matching powder blue dresses sat on the garden swing beside her, their curly hair bouncing as they kicked their legs. When they turned to wave at their mother, Martins's world tilted. Those eyes. Brilliant, unmistakable green. His eyes. His family's rare genetic signature. The champagne glass slipped from his hand and shattered on the terrace stone. Martins didn't remember descending the terrace steps. One moment he was frozen at the balustrade, the next his Italian leather shoes were crushing perfectly manicured grass as he moved toward them. His heart hammered against his ribs like it was trying to escape. The $2 billion waterfront development deal he'd been obsessing over for 18 months. The deal that would cement Wellington Properties as the dominant force in luxury real estate, evaporated from his mind. All he could see were those eyes. His mother's eyes. His grandfather's eyes. The rare genetic marker that had appeared in every Wellington for 4 generations. Kimberley saw him coming. Her laugh died mid-breath. She straightened, her hand instinctively moving to the small of the nearest girl's back. Protective. Defensive. Martins. Her voice was steady, but he heard the tremor underneath. Kimberley. His throat felt lined with sandpaper. I didn't know you'd be here. Clearly. Her gaze was sharp enough to draw blood. 5 years had added elegance to her features, a quiet strength he didn't remember. Or maybe he'd never bothered to notice. The twins noticed him then. They turned in perfect synchronization, heads tilting with identical curiosity. Up close, it was undeniable. The shape of their noses, the set of their jaws, even the way the smaller one chewed her bottom lip when she was thinking. He'd seen that face in his childhood photos 1,000 times. Mommy, who's that? The girl in the pink-trimmed dress asked. Girls, go play on the other side of the garden. Now. Kimberley's tone left no room for negotiation. They hesitated, glancing between their mother and this strange man whose presence had changed everything. Then they ran, curls bouncing, hand in hand. Martins couldn't breathe. Are they mine? Kimberley's jaw tightened. They're mine. You made your choice 5 years ago, Martins. You chose Wellington Properties. Groundbreakings in Miami. Board meetings that couldn't wait. Remember? The math slammed into him like a physical blow. Divorce finalized 5 years and 2 months ago. The girls looked for, maybe just turned. Which meant, you were pregnant. The words came out strangled. When we signed the papers, you were 8 weeks. Her eyes glistened, but no tears fell. She wouldn't give him that. I tried Martins. For months. Your new assistant, Rachel, isn't it? She screened every call. Deleted every email. Said you'd given explicit instructions not to be contacted by me under any circumstances. He had said that. After the divorce, drowning in shame and anger, he'd told Rachel to create an impenetrable wall. No reminders. No loose ends. He'd changed his personal number, restructured his entire office, thrown himself into expansion plans with manic intensity. Anything to avoid the failure his marriage represented. I didn't know. It sounded pathetic even to his own ears. You didn't want to know. There's a difference. Kimberley pulled a business card from her small clutch, pressed it into his palm. Her touch lasted a fraction of a second, long enough for him to remember lazy Sunday mornings and shared dreams that felt like lifetimes ago. If you're serious, really serious, call me Monday. Not for us. Not to ease whatever guilt you're feeling right now. For them. For Ella and Victoria. She walked away, red dress cutting across the green lawn like a wound. The twins ran to meet her, and she knelt, wrapping them both in her arms, whispering something that made them laugh. Martin stood alone among the roses, surrounded by New York's elite, the business card burning in his hand. His perfect world, the empire he'd sacrificed everything to build, felt like smoke dissolving in the summer air. Martins didn't sleep. He paced his penthouse as Manhattan glittered 43 floors below, those green eyes haunting every corner of his mind. The city that usually felt like his kingdom now seemed like a prison of glass and steel. He remembered Kimberley in their Brooklyn brownstone, sunlight streaming through the kitchen windows. I'm ready, Martins. I want to start our family. And him, briefcase already in hand, kissing her forehead absently. Not yet, baby. The Miami project needs me. Maybe next year. Next year had never come. By sunrise Monday, he was in his office. Rachel arrived at 7:30, her usual efficiency faltering when she saw his face. 5 years ago, he said without preamble. My ex-wife. Did you block her calls? Rachel's professionalism cracked. Sir, there were standing orders from Victoria Stern when I took over. All contact from K. Brooks was to be screened. You'd specifically requested. Show me. The archived emails made him physically ill. 47 calls logged. 12 emails with subject lines that shattered him. Urgent, please call. About our future. Martins, I'm pregnant. All marked with Victoria's notes, per Mr. Wellington's instructions, blocked and deleted. He'd given those orders himself, bitter and broken after the divorce, wanting to cauterize the wound of his failed marriage. He called at 9:15. Kimberley answered on the first ring. My office. 2 o'clock. Come alone. Brooklyn felt foreign under the afternoon sun. Martins hadn't crossed the bridge in 5 years. His driver navigated narrow streets until they reached a modest brownstone with a brass plaque, Brooks and Associates, Family Law. Kimberley's office was nothing like his sterile corporate suite. The walls breathed with life, photographs everywhere. Ella and Victoria on their first birthday, covered in cake. First day of pre-K, matching backpacks too big for their small frames. Halloween, one princess, one astronaut. Every moment he'd missed, catalogued and framed. A leather photo album sat on her desk. She pushed it toward him without a word. He opened it with trembling hands. Ultrasound images. Kimberley's growing belly, documenting months of pregnancy alone. The twins in the NICU, impossibly small. Their first smiles, first steps, first words. Ella had his green eyes and the determined set of his jaw. Victoria had his dimples and the sensitive way he'd learned to hide behind confidence. I called 47 times. Kimberley's voice was granite. I sent 12 emails. I showed up at Wellington Properties and your security escorted me out. I thought you knew, Martins. I thought you knew and chose your empire over them. I didn't know. His voice broke. God, Kimberley, I swear I didn't know. But you made sure you couldn't know. There's not much difference. The silence stretched, heavy with 4 years of missed birthdays and bedtime stories. What do I do? He whispered. Tell me how to fix this. You can't fix it. You can only start from here. She pulled out a flyer, a dance recital at the Brooklyn Academy of Music. Saturday, 2 p.m., they have a life. A routine. They're happy. If you want in, you prove you can be consistent. You prove this isn't guilt. She circled a section in the seating chart. 3rd row from the back, left side. Don't talk to them. Don't approach them. Just watch. If you can do that, if you can show up and put them first, then maybe we talk about next steps. Martins took the flyer like it was a lifeline. It was. The auditorium at PS 321 smelled like floor wax and possibility. Martin sat in the third row from the back, left side, exactly where Kimberley had specified. Parents filled the rows ahead, smartphones ready, bouquets of flowers clutched in eager hands. He'd come empty-handed, invisible, as instructed. The lights dimmed. A Midsummer Night's Dream, announced in construction paper letters across the stage. Then they appeared, Ella and Victoria as twin fairies in matching purple tutus, wings glittering under the stage lights. His heart stopped. They moved with identical grace, spinning and leaping, faces bright with joy. When Ella executed a perfect pirouette, the audience erupted in applause. Victoria followed with a leap that seemed to defy gravity for a 4-year-old. They were talented. They were radiant. They were complete strangers to him. After the final bow, he stayed rooted as other fathers rushed forward, lifting daughters onto shoulders, presenting wrapped roses. Kimberley knelt between the twins, her pride visible even from the back row. She whispered something that made them both laugh, and the sound physically hurt. "You must be Ella and Victoria's?" A woman with kind eyes and a teacher's lanyard appeared beside him. "Just a friend of the family." The lie tasted like ash. Ms. Rodriguez, her name tag read, smiled with a knowing gentleness. "They have his eyes. Hard to miss." She touched his arm lightly. "It's never too late, you know, to show up." He showed up everywhere after that, just never where they could see him. The dance studio received an anonymous donation covering a full year of advanced classes for both girls. Books appeared in the PS 321 library with bookplates reading, "Donated in honor of Ella and Victoria Brooks." New playground equipment materialized in the schoolyard, a swing set with extra safety features. Sunday mornings became sacred. Bluestone Lane Cafe in Park Slope, 7 a.m., before the neighborhood woke fully. Kimberley brought files, medical records, school reports, everything he'd missed. "Ella has a severe peanut allergy," she explained, showing him the EpiPen procedure. "Tree nuts, peanuts, anything processed in the same facility. It's life-threatening." He memorized every word like gospel. "Victoria has anxiety. Loud noises, sudden changes. She sees a therapist every Thursday at 4. He added it to his calendar, color-coded red. "Victoria's therapy, be aware." Their schedules became his scripture. Tuesday and Thursday, dance practice. Wednesday, Ella's science club. Saturday morning, Victoria's piano lessons at Mrs. Chen's brownstone. Martins reorganized board meetings, rescheduled international calls, delegated the waterfront development to his partners. His life, previously structured around billion-dollar deals, now revolved around two little girls' routines he could only witness from the margins. The for sale sign appeared on a Park Slope brownstone 3 doors from Kimberley's. He paid $4.2 million cash, closed in 2 weeks. Kimberley showed up at his penthouse unannounced. "You're moving to Brooklyn? I want to be close." He met her eyes. "When they're ready. When you're ready." "I'm not going anywhere, Kimberley. Not this time." She studied him for a long moment, searching for cracks in his resolve. Finally, she nodded. 6 weeks. You've shown up every Sunday for 6 weeks. That's a start, Martins. Just a start. But it was enough to let him breathe. Martins arrived at Bethesda Fountain 40 minutes early, dressed in jeans and a plain t-shirt that felt like a costume. He'd changed 3 times in his penthouse, discarding suits and designer casual where that screamed wealth. This wasn't a board meeting. This was everything. Kimberley appeared through the Saturday morning crowd with Ella and Victoria in matching yellow sundresses, their curls bouncing with each step. His breath caught. "Girls, there's someone I want you to meet." Kimberley's voice was steady, but he saw her hand tremble slightly. "This is Mr. Wellington. He's a friend of Mommy's." Ella stepped forward first, studying him with scientific precision. "You have green eyes like us." Victoria remained half hidden behind Kimberley's leg, one eye visible, watchful. Martins knelt on the warm stone, bringing himself to their height. "I do. That's pretty special, isn't it? Are you somebody important?" Victoria's small voice emerged from behind her mother. "Mommy says important people are always too busy." The words hit like a physical blow. He looked at Kimberley, saw the pain flash across her face, the echo of 100 broken promises from their marriage. "I used to think I was important," Martin said carefully. "But now I know what's really important." "What?" Ella challenged, arms crossed. "Being here. With people you care about." The girls exchanged a glance, some wordless twin communication. Then Ella shrugged. "Okay. Can you push us on the swings?" The playground became the entire world. He pushed them higher, higher, their squeals of delight better than any applause from shareholders. Victoria showed him her trick of jumping off at the peak. Ella demonstrated her monkey bar technique. Time moved differently here, measured in laughter instead of quarterly earnings. Then a town car pulled up on the path, security detail flanking it. Martins Wellington emerged in head-to-toe Chanel, diamonds catching the sunlight. Martins' stomach dropped. "Martins, I heard you were here." Her voice carried across the playground. "And these must be my granddaughters." The temperature plummeted. Catherine's gaze swept over Kimberley with thinly veiled judgment, lingered on the girls' Target sundresses. "You should have told us," Catherine said to Kimberley, as if Martins weren't standing right there. "We have rights. Grandparents' rights." "Mother. Stop. Now." Martins positioned himself between Catherine and his family. "Don't be ridiculous. These girls are Wellingtons. They should be in private school, wearing proper clothes, learning proper. They're perfect exactly as they are." His voice cut like steel. "And you don't get to come in here and make demands. Not about them. Not about anything." He'd never contradicted his mother publicly. Never challenged her imperial certainty. Catherine's face flushed crimson. "You're making a mistake, Martins. These people are my family. And if you can't respect that, you can leave." Catherine stared at him, disbelief giving way to fury. She turned sharply, heels clicking against stone, security scrambling to follow. The town car disappeared into Central Park traffic. Silence. Then Ella slipped her small hand into his. "Your mom is scary. Sometimes. But you know what?" He squeezed her hand gently. "You don't have to be scared. I've got you." Victoria emerged fully from behind Kimberley. "Promise?" "I promise." They stayed until the afternoon sun turned golden, feeding ducks stale bread, getting ice cream that dripped down their chins, lying in the grass finding shapes in clouds. Normal. Perfect. His. Walking back, Victoria tugged his sleeve. "Will we see you again?" Martins looked at Kimberley. She studied him for a long moment, then nodded, almost imperceptibly. "If you want to, I'd really like that." Ella grinned, dimples flashing. "We want to." The Brooklyn brownstone smelled like fresh paint and possibility. Martins had spent 2 weeks preparing, child-proofing every corner, filling shelves with age-appropriate books recommended by the children's librarian at Book Court. 2 rooms upstairs waited. One lavender with glow-in-the-dark stars and a rocket ship bed for Ella, one mint green with music notes stenciled on the walls, and a keyboard by the window for Victoria. "This is yours?" Kimberley stood in the doorway, surprise softening her usual guardedness. "I had a decorator, but I told her, make it feel like home, not a museum." He watched the girls explore cautiously, their fingers trailing over furniture like they might break something. "I wanted it to be theirs too. When they're ready." Ella discovered the space-themed room first. "Mommy, look. The ceiling has constellations." Victoria found the keyboard, pressed a tentative key. The note hung in the air, pure and clear. The afternoon unfolded in a series of firsts. Martins's first Disney movie, The Princess and the Frog, with 2 4-year-olds providing running commentary. His first attempted home-cooked meal that ended in spectacular disaster when he somehow welded spaghetti to a pot. Kimberley laughed. Actually laughed. The sound reached something in him he'd thought had died years ago. "Take-out pizza?" he offered sheepishly. "Take-out pizza," she agreed. Bedtime arrived too soon. Victoria's face crumpled at the top of the stairs. "I don't have my nightlight. Or my butterfly." "What butterfly?" Martins knelt beside her. "Her stuffed animal," Kimberley explained. "And she needs a lullaby. She won't sleep without." "I don't know any lullabies." Kimberley's expression shifted, some old memory surfacing. "Come here. I'll teach you." They sat on Victoria's new bed, the little girl between them. Kimberley sang softly. Blackbird singing in the dead of night. Her voice carried weight, history. "My grandmother sang this. When I was scared." Martins tried, his voice rusty and uncertain. Victoria's eyes drooped. By the second verse, her small hand found his, held tight. By the third, she was asleep. They crept downstairs and out to the brownstone stoop. Brooklyn settled into its Saturday night rhythm around them. Distant sirens, laughter from nearby restaurants, the eternal hum of the city. "They like you," Kimberley said quietly. "That terrifies me." "Why?" "Because if you leave again, it'll break them. And I won't be able to fix that." Martins turned to face her fully. "I'm not leaving. I know you don't believe me yet. But I'll prove it. However long it takes." She studied him in the streetlight, searching. "Okay. We'll see." Morning brought pancakes, mostly successful, only 2 burned, and small revelations. Ella pulled him to the dining table, eyes shining. Look at my solar system project. Jupiter had a dent, but the rings around Saturn were perfect. Victoria led him to the keyboard. This is for Elise. Mrs. Chen taught me. Her small fingers found the notes, halting but determined. Martins recorded both on his phone, his first dad videos, labels reading, Ella's solar system, and Victoria's first recital. Sundays became sacred. Every weekend, the girls came over. He learned to braid hair, badly, sections crooked, elastics too tight until Ella yelped. He painted tiny nails in colors called Purple Paradise and Sparkle Dreams. They taught him Uno, delighted when he lost. Dance practice happened in the living room, Victoria attempting to teach him piano basics with the patience of a tiny professor. After 4 weeks, Kimberley showed up at his door unscheduled. You haven't missed once. I won't. She nodded slowly. I'm starting to believe you. It was enough. The Wellington Properties conference room occupied the entire 52nd floor, floor-to-ceiling windows framing Manhattan like a kingdom. Investors from Dubai, Singapore, and London sat around the mahogany table. $2 billion in development rights hung in the balance. The Manhattan waterfront deal that would cement Martins's legacy as the most visionary real estate developer of his generation. Marcus Chun, his business partner, was mid-presentation when Martins's phone vibrated. Kimberley calling. He glanced at it, hesitated, silenced it. The Dubai investor was asking about timeline projections. Second buzz. Kimberley again. Third buzz. PS 321 Elementary School. His stomach dropped. Excuse me. 2 minutes. He stepped into the hallway, hand trembling as he answered. Mr. Wellington? The school nurse's voice carried controlled urgency. Ella's had a severe allergic reaction. We've administered the EpiPen, but she needs to go to the hospital immediately. Mrs. Brooks is stuck in court in Manhattan and can't. The world tilted. Everything, the skyline, the deal, the investors, his entire empire, became background noise. I'm on my way. Which hospital? Maimonides in Brooklyn, but sir, the ambulance is already. I'll meet her there. He walked back into the conference room. 20 faces turned toward him, expectant. Marcus mid-gesture with the laser pointer. I have to leave. Family emergency. Martins, we're in the middle of. Marcus's expression shifted from confusion to alarm. I said I have to leave. This is the biggest deal of our careers. This is your legacy. Martin stopped at the door, turned back. The city sprawled behind him, indifferent and glittering. No, Marcus. My daughters are my legacy. He left $2 billion on the table. His Bentley screamed across the Brooklyn Bridge, traffic laws becoming suggestions. Every red light felt like an eternity. His mind looped through worst-case scenarios, medical terminology from Kimberley's files flashing like warnings. Anaphylaxis, airway constriction, cardiac arrest. Maimonides' ER smelled like antiseptic and fear. He found her in Bay 7, small and scared on a gurney, for in her tiny arm, oxygen mask dwarfing her face. Daddy! The word broke from her like a sob. First time. The first time she'd called him that. He was at her side in 2 steps, gathering her carefully. I'm here, baby girl. I'm here. Victoria sat in the corner chair, face blotchy from crying, terrified for her twin. He pulled her close with his other arm. Both of you. I've got both of you. Kimberley burst through the ER doors 10 minutes later, still in her courtroom suit, makeup smeared, eyes wild. She stopped when she saw them, Martins holding both girls, reading, Where the Wild Things Are, with a voice that barely shook. The doctors confirmed it, severe reaction to peanut oil in the cafeteria's cooking spray. The EpiPen had saved her life. She'd be okay. But Martins didn't leave. All night, he stayed in that plastic chair, reading stories, singing Blackbird when Ella whimpered, holding her hand when nightmares threatened. Kimberley watched him, something shifting behind her exhaustion. 3 a.m. Ella finally slept, chest rising and falling steadily. The hospital hallway stretched fluorescent and empty. You left the deal, Kimberley said. Of course I left the deal. Marcus called me. He's furious. Said it was worth $2 billion. Martins turned to face her fully. Kimberley, I would have left a $20 billion deal. I would have left any deal. She needed me. Her face crumpled. Years of holding it together, raising twins alone, building a career, being strong enough for 3 people collapsed. She sobbed against the wall, finally letting herself break. I was so scared. I was in court, and I couldn't get to her, and I thought. He pulled her close. Hey, you're not alone anymore. We do this together. You hear me? Together. Dawn broke over Brooklyn. Martins pulled out his phone, typed an email to his board. Subject, effective immediately. He stepped down as CEO. Executive chairman, 20 hours per week maximum. Marcus would take over operations. His phone exploded with calls. He silenced every one. His daughters were waking up. Nothing else mattered. 2 weeks later, Martins's life looked nothing like the empire he'd built. His office now occupied the second floor of the Brooklyn brownstone, mahogany desk facing a window that overlooked the neighborhood where his daughters played. Where he belonged. Mornings became ritual. 7:15, he knocked on Kimberley's door 3 houses down. Ella and Victoria burst out, backpacks bouncing, competing to hold his hands. 3 blocks to PS 321, past the bodega where Mr. Martinez always had lollipops waiting, past the brownstones where neighbors now waved and called him by name. He returned for compressed video calls, development reviews handled in focused bursts. Afternoons belonged to homework struggles and dance practice in the living room. Victoria's patient piano instruction that revealed she'd inherited his stubbornness along with his dimples. His phone rang constantly. Board members, Marcus, investors. The message always the same. You're destroying everything you built. I'm building what I should have built first, he replied, and stopped answering. Martins Wellington appeared on a Thursday afternoon. No driver, no security detail. Just his mother, 70 years of certainty crumbling in her posture. I was wrong. The words seemed to physically hurt her. About everything. About Kimberley. About what matters. About how I raised you. Martins led her to the kitchen, this conversation requiring coffee. Your father. Catherine's hands trembled around her cup. He was obsessed with building the Wellington name. Partnerships, investments, legacy. He missed your childhood. Your school plays, your birthdays, your graduation. All of it. Martins had known this, lived this, become this. I watched him choose business over you, over me, over life. And I let it happen. Worse, I taught you it was right. That empire mattered more than presence. She met his eyes. You became him, Martins. Until now. Now you're the father he should have been. The words hung between them, decades of dysfunction finally named. Can I? Catherine's voice broke. Can I meet my granddaughters? Properly this time. The tea party was awkward and genuine. Catherine arrived with bakery cookies, uncertain how to talk to 4-year-olds who eyed her warily. Kimberley stood in the doorway, protective, prepared to intervene. I judged you, Catherine said to Kimberley directly. I was protecting what I thought mattered. Wellington legacy, status, control. I was wrong. Deeply wrong. Kimberley's grace stunned everyone. Your granddaughters need their grandmother. If you're ready to show up, really show up, we'd like that. Thursdays became Catherine's night. She taught the girls to bake Wellington family recipes. Pound cake with precisely measured ingredients, snickerdoodles rolled in cinnamon sugar. Flour-dusted expensive clothes she now wore without anxiety. 6 months passed in morning walks and bedtime stories. Martins proposed a solution over coffee one Sunday. What if we made this official? Not romantic, he added quickly, seeing Kimberley's expression. Real co-parenting. A partnership. For them. What do you mean? I know we're not getting back together. That ship has sailed. But what if we created something new? Separate homes, separate lives, but united parenting. Everything major, we decide together. They drafted an agreement. Joint custody, collaborative decisions, independent personal lives. Not a marriage, a commitment to something more important. The girls thrived. Victoria's anxiety improved, her therapist noting the dramatic change consistent fatherhood provided. Ella won the school science fair with a solar-powered rover, explaining orbital mechanics to impressed judges. One evening, both girls climbed into Martins's lap during story time, Victoria on the left, Ella on the right, symmetrical and serious. Daddy, Victoria started. Can we have your last name too? Ella finished. His breath caught. We want to be Wellingtons, Victoria continued. But also Brooks. Both. Martins looked at Kimberley across the living room. She nodded, eyes shining. Both, he agreed, voice thick. Always both. 9 months since the garden party. Spring transformed Brooklyn into something almost magical. Trees exploding with blossoms, stoops filling with neighbors, the entire borough alive with possibility. The co-parenting had become seamless. No longer tentative negotiations but natural rhythm. Morning walks, shared dinners, collaborative decisions made over coffee. Separate lives intertwined by common purpose. Saturday morning at Brooklyn Academy of Music, Dance Explosion blazed across the marquee. Ella and Victoria's first real competition. Martin sat between Catherine and Kimberley, an arrangement that 9 months ago would have been impossible. Marcus Chin occupied the seat behind them, business partner turned family friend. Backstage, the girls were unraveling. Victoria's hands trembled. Ella's confidence, usually bulletproof, showed cracks. Martin's knelt, eye level with both. Remember why you dance. Not to win. Not for trophies. Because you love it. Because it makes you feel alive. But what if we mess up? Victoria's voice was small. Then you mess up together. And you know what? We'll still be proud. Still be here. Still be your family. They performed to Aretha Franklin's Respect, a jazz routine Ms. Rodriguez had choreographed. Every kick sharp, every spin synchronized. When Ella hit her final pose, breathless and beaming, Martins's hands hurt from clapping. Second place. Silver medals hung around their necks. But their faces when they saw their entire family standing, cheering, flowers in hand, that was first place in everything that mattered. The brownstone filled with celebration. Catherine brought her famous pound cake. Marcus arrived with sparkling cider and congratulations. Neighbors stopped by, this house having become neighborhood central over the months. Company's doing great, Marcus told Martins in the kitchen, voice low. Revenue's up 18%. That waterfront project? We closed it last month. Maybe you were right, stepping back was the right move. Martins watched through the doorway as Ella demonstrated the routine for Catherine, while Victoria played piano accompaniment. I know I was. Evening descended soft and golden. Martins walked his family home, 3 doors down, the distance that had become their bridge. The brownstone stoop beckoned, their unspoken tradition. Kimberley sat first. I need to tell you something. His stomach tightened. 9 months of consistency, and still he feared losing this. What? I forgive you. Fully. Not because you've earned it, though you have, but because holding on to anger was keeping me stuck. Keeping us stuck. I don't deserve. Maybe not. But our daughters deserve a father who isn't weighed down by guilt every single day. So I'm letting it go, Martins. All of it. They sat in the spring evening, Brooklyn humming around them. Not romantic love, that ship had sailed years ago. But something deeper. Partnership. Respect. Peace. Daddy. Ella's voice from the doorway, Victoria beside her. Are you coming to breakfast tomorrow? Sunday pancakes. Their sacred routine. Wouldn't miss it, princess. Later, alone in his study, Martins pulled up old photographs on his computer. Him at 25, sharp suit, sharper edges, eyes hungry and cold. Building empire, burning bridges, measuring worth in Forbes rankings. Now at 42, teaching wobbly bike rides in Prospect Park. Learning to braid hair in sections that didn't hurt. Reading Where the Wild Things Are for the 100th time because Victoria asked. Attending dance recitals and piano lessons and parent-teacher conferences. His phone buzzed. Text from Kimberley. A photo, him with Ella and Victoria at today's competition, all 3 laughing, medals glinting, joy radiating from pixels. Caption. This is what success looks like. He stared at the image for a long time. Forbes had once called him the Midas of Manhattan. Everything he touched turned to gold. But this, flower-covered mornings and dance competitions and forgiveness on brownstone stoops, this was the fortune he'd been chasing his whole life without knowing it. He saved the photo, titled it simply, Home. 1 year. Exactly 1 year since Martins Wellington stood on the Rosewood Estate terrace and watched his world shatter into something better. Today, the same garden wore different decorations. Banners proclaimed Ella and Victoria's 5th birthday celebration across the manicured lawn. The rose gardens bloomed identical, but everything else had transformed. The guest list read like a Brooklyn neighborhood directory. PS 321 classmates, dance class friends, Mr. Martinez from the bodega. Catherine Wellington worked the refreshment table alongside Kimberley, both women laughing at some shared joke. Marcus Chun helped set up the sound system. Rachel arranged gift bags with the efficiency that now served a different purpose. Martins arrived with Ella and Victoria, each holding one of his hands. Not alone. Never alone again. 2 cakes commanded the dessert table, one featuring planets and rockets, one with piano keys and musical notes. Face-painted children shrieked through garden games. Joy saturated the air like humidity. Martins climbed to the terrace, the same spot where champagne had slipped from his fingers, where his perfectly controlled world had cracked open. The crowd quieted when he tapped the microphone. A year ago, I stood in this exact spot. His voice carried across the lawn. I had everything money could buy. Billions in the bank. A Manhattan empire. My name on buildings across the city. He paused, finding Ella and Victoria surrounded by friends, birthday crowns crooked on their heads. And I had nothing. Because I didn't have them. These two little girls with green eyes, my eyes, changed my life. They showed me what wealth really means. It's not in bank accounts or skyscrapers. It's in Sunday pancakes that turn out slightly burned. It's in bedtime stories read 17 times. It's in dance recitals and piano lessons and homework struggles. It's in the 1,000 small moments that make a life worth living. He pulled documents from his jacket, legal papers Catherine had witnessed, Marcus had notarized. Today, with their mother's permission and their blessing, Ella and Victoria are officially becoming Brooks Wellingtons. Both names. Hyphenated. Equal. The girls ran forward, crowns bouncing. Victoria reached him first. We wanted both names. Because we love you both. Ella nodded, serious. You're both our family. No one had dry eyes. Not Catherine, who'd learned grandmothering meant presents, not presents. Not Marcus, who'd discovered his partner's greatest success had nothing to do with real estate. Not even the caterers, who'd seen countless Hamptons parties but never one that felt like this. Papers signed. Witnessed. Official. As sunset painted the garden gold, lights flickered on, garden projections creating constellations across the lawn. The same stars Martins had taught them from his telescope on Brooklyn nights. Look up, he said. Ella gasped. It's Orion. Victoria found it next. The Big Dipper. They lay on the grass together, Martins, Kimberley, Ella, Victoria, Catherine joining them hesitantly until Victoria pulled her down. Just a family finding patterns in projected stars. Later, as guests departed, Kimberley pressed a leather album into Martins's hands. Year 1 embossed on the cover. He opened it. Every moment documented. The first tentative park meeting, Ella's hospital vigil, Christmas morning in matching pajamas, Victoria's piano recital, Sunday pancakes with chocolate chip faces, dance competitions, bedtime stories, homework sessions, 1,000 ordinary miracles. These are the real estate deals that matter, Kimberley said softly. Martins broke. Not from pain this time, from gratitude so overwhelming it had nowhere else to go. Thank you. For giving me this chance. You earned it. Day by day, moment by moment, you earned it. The garden emptied. Ella and Victoria chased fireflies in the twilight, their laughter the best sound Martins had ever heard. His phone buzzed. Marcus, that waterfront deal you walked away from? Just closed for $3.2 billion. But I know you found something better. Martins smiled, texted back. Yeah, I did. Daddy, Victoria called, hand cupped around a glowing firefly. Come see. Wait up. He ran toward them, this man who used to measure worth in Forbes rankings and board votes. They turned, laughing, those green eyes glowing in the dusk. His eyes. His daughters. His second chance. Come on, Daddy. There's a whole garden to explore. And Martins ran to catch up, no longer the man who had everything but nothing. Just a father chasing fireflies with his daughters. Finally home. I put so much efforts in making this video. You subscribing will make me so happy and encourage me to do more. Kindly subscribe and like for more interesting stories.